Now, 24-0 sounds like a statistic number from a mathematics textbooks, but that's the scoreline that was registered by Mamelodi Sundowns in March 4th, 2012 against the Powerlines FC. Welcome to another edition of Metropol Sports Center. My name is Nashon Owano. Time for us to catch up with what has been happening in the sports world in the course of the week. I have an entertaining show lined up for you. The following are just some of the things that you're going to be talking about in the show tonight. Tonight you're going to be looking at the race for the top 4 finish, and I'm going to be having an analyst, that is Venant Odhiambo, who's also a co-host at the Extra Time podcast, where we're going to be talking about which teams he thinks are going to be in the top 4 finish. Apart from that, we're going to be making sense of what is happening in the Kenya Premier League, who's at the top of the goal scorers list, and which teams have registered a lot of improvements in the course of the week. Just before I give you some of the information that you need to know with regards to the English Premier League and the Kenya Premier League, there have been good developments that have been happening in the course of the week, namely in the NBA. While now in the course of today, the NBA announced a deal that they had signed with the Nation Media Group, the new sponsorship, the new agreement between the media house and the NBA will see the media house broadcast some of the major games in the NBA. This move by the NBA is seen as a step in the right direction in terms of supporting NBA talent across the African continent. Away from matters NBA, also a good development that took place in the course of today was Portugal, I beg your pardon, was officially added into the racing lineup for the Grand Prix, with the Formula 1 action, which is expected to start in a matter of days, if not months. Away from matters Formula 1 and NBA, time for us to look at the English Premier League and some of the fixture scores and how they stacked up in the course of the week. The following is how the fixture stacked up. That is Manchester City versus West Ham United. The game ended 2-1 in favor of Manchester City. West Bromwich versus Brighton, the game ended 1-0. Leeds United versus Aston Villa, the game ended 1-0 in favor of Aston Villa. Newcastle versus Wolves, the game ended 1-1. Crystal Palace versus Fulham, the game ended 0-0. And then Leicester City versus Arsenal, the game ended 3-1 in favor of Arsenal, who seems to be in a sort of like a fluctuating performance. They win one game and lose the other, but let's hope that they are going to continue the win. Also, some of the match fixtures that were played, that is Chelsea versus Manchester United, the game ended 0-0. Manchester City versus Wolves, the game ended 4-1. Burnley versus Leicester City, the game ended 1-1. And Sheffield United versus Aston Villa, the game ended 1-0. In a major game that was played last night, that is Chelsea versus defending champions Liverpool, the game ended 1-0 in favor of Chelsea. The loss by Liverpool to Chelsea basically means that Liverpool have lost 5 consecutive games at the Anfield, and actually show a good performance from the Chelsea side, which was struggling in the league a couple of weeks ago. Now we quickly shift gears into the Kenya Premier League. Now the following is how the fixtures stacked up. That is KCB versus Kariobangi Sharks. The game ended 3-0 in favor of Kariobangi Sharks. Ulinzi Stars versus Bandari, the game ended 2-0 in favor of Bandari. Posta Rangers versus Sofapaka, the game ended 2-1 in favor of Sofapaka. And Kakamega Homeboys versus FC Leopards, the game ended 2-1. Wazito FC versus Zoo Kericho, the game ended 1-0 in favor of Wazito FC. Nairobi City Stars versus Mathare United, the game ended 2-0 in favor of Nairobi City Stars. And finally, Kakamega Homeboys versus Gor Mahia, the game ended 2-1 in favor of Gor Mahia. Looking at that particular fixture scores, you realize that Kakamega Homeboys have lost 2 major games, that is against AFC Leopards and Gor Mahia. Well, that's the first part of the show. I'll be taking a short commercial break. After the break, I'm going to be having Venant Odhiambo, who's a sports analyst, football fan, and also a co-host at the Time podcast. You're going to be making sense of the developments that have taken place in the English Premier League